Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of my Pick Handicappers 30th edition. Right now we're going to be talking about the first round of the NHL Playoffs 8 series. We're going to cover them all, tell you our best picks for those series. We have a lot of action coming in, guys. Para nuestros amigos de México, recuerden, este es el episodio 30 de mi Pick Pronósticos, pero en esta ocasión tengo a nuestro buen amigo Don Buster, que no habla español, entonces este pronóstico no español for Don Buster. Todo este episodio va a ser en inglés. Una disculpa y no tenemos tiempo de poner subtítulos abajo como la vez pasada, ya que este tema es muy rápido. Tenemos que hablar de los playoffs que arrancan este lunes. Lo estamos grabando hoy mismo en sábado. Entonces, una disculpa por eso. Espero que la mayoría de ustedes lo puedan disfrutar. Okay, hello, Don Buster from Sports Memo. Great to see you again, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, Hector. And as you were talking, I understood almost everything you say. Normally, if I was talking with somebody in Spanish down here, if they were talking, I would have said, Hector, mi amigo, despacio. Pero I understand that I'm going to try to speak maybe a little bit slower than I normally would, just because it will help all the people that watch your shows on YouTube. And Thank you. Hopefully, maybe, as I said this to you last year when we did our NFL stuff, hopefully one of these days, maybe 5 years from now, I can do one in total Spanish with you. But it's very tough when you're más viejo. It's muy difícil.
Yeah, let's hope we can do that one. And as you know, I was telling the audience last year we make this episode, and I took the time to put on the subtitles in Spanish, the captions. But right now, as we're talking NHL playoffs that begin in a couple of days, there's really no time to do that. So, okay, but I'm pretty sure that most of my audience
we want to get this information out to people who just so they have a little bit of information, and then they can decide on themselves on who they like in the series. So, that's great. Hopefully, we're doing this Saturday morning, and we should get it out. Well, I say we, you, Hector, will probably by late this afternoon. So guys will be able to watch it for Saturday night, Sunday, and early Monday before the playoffs start.
All right, man. Well, thank you very much. Those of you who don't know Don Buster, please go and follow him at Twitter. It's Don__ Buster, and of course at sportsmemo.com, where you can follow all his free and premium picks. Okay, well, thank you very much, Dan. So you want me to begin with the first series from the West Conference?
Sure. Why don't you start, Hector?
Okay,
sounds
perfect. Good. So we have at first, Don, LA Kings with Edmonton versus Edmonton Oilers. We have the Kings at plus 200 and the Oilers at minus 250. I mean, we had the Oilers ended up the regular season with a record of 48-27-6, getting on second place in the Pacific, and LA 44-27-11. And the Oilers, I think that the key here is that the Oilers has an amazing firepower on the offense. I mean, they ended up being the 7th best offense of the league with 3.5 goals scored per game and 10th with shots on goal scored. Now, I know LA Kings has a great defense. Jonathan Quick is pretty good on the net and everything, but I don't think that it's going to be enough to stop the Edmonton firepower. And I believe that's why you have Edmonton at minus 250. It's expensive. It's a little expensive, but okay. And now you have, on the other hand, you have the LA Kings with an offense that is, kind of decent. It's just decent, but it's not amazing. Their defense is pretty good, but I mean, I don't think it's not gonna be enough to stop Edmonton's offense. So I'm going with Edmonton on this series, and I like them in minus 1.5 games.
Very good, Hector. That sounds like a great play. Okay, I will now go with we'll talk about the St. Louis, Minnesota series. I'm going to break down. I have what we're doing. Hector's going to take 4 series, and I'm going to take 4. So Hector will have 2 in the West. Yeah. I'll have 2 in the East. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to break my games down. Talk a little bit about it, and then we'll go from like offensive, defensive, goaltending, special teams, and talk a little bit and try to do the videos. Try to keep this thing under about 30 minutes so that people get the information, and we'll go from there. So St. Louis has won all 3 meetings with Minnesota, but Minnesota has home ice advantage, so that we believe is going to make it a tight series. St. Louis has been playing really well lately. Won 12 of their last 15 games. And talk about playing well. Minnesota too. They're probably the two hottest teams in the NHL of late. They've won 7 of their last 8, and this series looks like it's got 7 games written all over it, if you ask us. And home ice advantage might actually bring it home. But there's a little bit of other things to break down here. If you go offensively, both teams, St. Louis has got 9 guys, 20 goal scorers, and there's Minnesota. They have 6. So, and if you look on the whole year, they were only separated offensively by 4 goals, 309 to 305. That's crazy. But then this is how close these two teams are. Defensively, they were separated only by 10 goals. Minnesota allowed 249, St. Louis 239 on the year. So this is showing you how tight this series is going to be. Let's break down the special teams. St. Louis is, and this is where it could be won. St. Louis's power play is number 2. Their penalty kills number 5. Minnesota power play 18. Penalty kill 25. Now that, of course, is for the whole year, and teams get on better streaks than that. But that just gives you an idea of where they stood for the year. So St. Louis has a real big advantage in special teams. But here's the thing. Minnesota, in our opinion, has a much better goaltending with Fleury and even Talbot, who I've went on about not really liking what Talbot's been doing, but you can't knock what he's been doing the last 2 months. He has been unbelievable, especially at home. So they have the upper hand there. These teams, to me, they're like mirror images of each other. And it's going to be one of the toughest series to go. Minnesota right now, I believe, is minus 150 because they have the home ice advantage. If you ask me, this is one of these series that you want to bet game by game, and looking forward to it, Hector. It's going to be a good series.
Yeah, I agree, Don, because it's not easy to see this kind of series that are so tight in the NHL, And I agree with you, totally agree with you. Love that pick. And getting now to a series that I think it's very far from competitive and very far from fair. And I'm not saying it as a Colorado Avalanche fan. We're gonna try to keep this very professional. But I mean, we have Avalanche minus 450 versus Predators plus 360. I mean, I think Avalanche has the upper hand in basically everything. It's the number 4 offense, number 9 defense, goaltending and special teams also pretty good. 7th on power play and 15 on penalty. Okay, that's not so good, but I think that Darcy Kuemper is going to be pretty good on the net. And I don't see Nashville doing any damage to this Colorado Avalanche. I don't think they have the pace, the energy to keep up with Colorado firepower. Nashville is a decent team. They are number 12 in scoring, number 17 on defense, and you have them. Okay, they have a pretty good power play, number 5 in power play, but number 18 on penalty kills. So I think we all know last season Colorado Avalanche. We all had a lot of expectations from that team. They got kicked out, bounce out of the playoff contention on the second round. I think that this time Nashville doesn't have enough talent and anything to keep up with the Colorado Avalanche. I think this is a series that maybe Colorado could just sweep. I think we're looking at a potential sweep here, or maybe a minus 2.5 goals. I mean, I'm going all the way with Colorado on this series. I know that minus 450, it's pretty expensive. So you would like to get maybe a minus 1.5 games, or even minus 2.5 games. Why not? We can see the. I don't think they're up now, right, Don? We don't have the prices for those, but
the lines are out. I'm not sure. Before we did this show, Hector, I haven't seen the where you can bet to sweep, bet like 4 games to 1, 4 games to 2.
Okay,
it's not like minus 2.5, minus 1.5. But you're right. Yeah, you're not. Right. Don't want to lay that minus 450 just in case of a big upset, especially with Nashville. Nashville has beat Colorado this year, but Colorado had a bunch of injuries early when Nashville played them. They did beat them that last game, but I mean that meant way more to Nashville than it did to Colorado. So I'm with you that you don't want to lay the 450, but once the market's open, like probably later on this afternoon, they might be even there now. But once you could grab, maybe if you like Colorado to sweep like you do, Hector,
Yeah,
Maybe
totally.
maybe if it's a good price, you grab that price. I'm sure you're getting some nice plus money there to do that. So
Totally a professional opinion.
yeah,
Not
exactly.
betting by heart. I
Yeah,
swear, not betting by heart.
yeah, yeah. I know you're a Colorado fan, Hector. So
All right.
okay.
Your turn. You're up.
Okay, we'll move into the last series in the West, which is Dallas and Calgary. And it's funny. I wonder if Calgary was probably wishing to play Nashville because I think they set up better against Nashville. Although Calgary has been playing really well, and Calgary has some revenge here. If you guys will remember, 2 years ago they played this Dallas club and they lost in the series 4-2. So Calgary has home ice in this series. They've beat during the season. They beat Dallas 2 out of 3 games. Dallas's victory came in OT. Yeah, like I say, Calgary. Is this going to be another close series? Hey Hector, it looks like I got all the close series, and you've got some of those the bigger games, but that's all right. I don't mind trying to break down these real tight ones.
All right.
So let's go down, break these down. The offense, we give the offense to Calgary. They look more offensive. They actually had 3 guys with scored 40 goals or more. So that's huge. Defensively, there's no doubt Dallas can play some defense, and that's the whole key in these playoffs. Does a team shut down the big lines of these teams, or do the big lines take care of a much better defensive team? As far as special teams, Calgary's ranked 10th on the power play. Dallas is 11th, so it's kind of a wash there. On the penalty kill, that's where Calgary excels. They're number 6 to Dallas number 19th. That could get Dallas in trouble. With all the speed on Calgary, Dallas will be taking a bunch of penalties. So there's lots to like here about the Flames, that's for sure. Especially, I really like that revenge angle as well in a lot of playoffs series, even though because it's fairly fresh. It was 2 years ago, and Calgary is looking for better things this year. There's no doubt about that. They really believe they have a team that can compete for the cup, and with Markstrom in net, I actually believe they do as well. So can't lay Calgary's 250, 260. Don't want to lay that in this series, that's for sure. Might lay Calgary minus 1.5 games. Get that revenge exactly how Dallas beat them 4-2 2 years ago. Maybe Calgary beats them 4-2 this year. So we like Calgary in this one, Hector.
All right, perfect. Now let's go all the way to the east to another great series, which is going to be Florida Panthers versus Washington Capitals. Now, this is going to be, I want to say that it seems close. It seems very, very competitive, but I don't know. It's just that Florida's offense power, it's just so freaking amazing. It's the first NHL offense in the whole league, scoring 4.1 or 4.4 goals per game. Number 1 also in shots at goal, which is going to be very, very powerful. They have an amazing duo with Jonathan Huberdeau and Alexander Barkov. And I do like Capitals, and of course I do like Washington defense and everything. I think that especially at the first maybe the first couple of games, it's going to be like kind of tough for Florida, to explode that they used to be, because a well-rested Washington defense is going to be tough to beat in the first couple of games. But that's it. I think that at the end of this series, Florida is going to take the series for sure. I like them a lot. We have Capitals number 10th on offense, good, but maybe not so good enough to beat Florida. And number 12 in defense, which it can be good, but I'm going to be going with Florida done on this one. Florida minus 1.5 games, because I don't want to pay the price, to get Florida minus 290. Last night, I think it was minus 320, I think, but or 310, something like that. But minus 290, it's still pretty expensive against the Washington Capitals that could get the offset. I don't know. I like Florida, but I'm going to take them minus 1.5 games.
Yeah. And we talked about that earlier, Hector, where, you don't really want to be laying these big numbers in the playoffs. I on the Puck Time show that I do on Wager Talk TV there, where I tell all the time, I just won't lay those big prices. Now in these series, you might, I've laid up to 180 in a series when I think it's right, when I think the number's bad. But for the most part, yeah, you don't want it. You want to find a better angle somewhere if you like a team. And Florida is a team, like as you said, Washington coming down the stretch, they've been a little shaky. And Florida looks like really good.
Yeah,
I'm a
absolutely.
little worried about Florida, like not past Washington, but maybe moving forward with their defense, because their defense isn't the best. But they have Bobrovsky, so he's very good. And who knows? I said this last week on one of the shows that I was on. These guys might be the new Edmonton Oilers of the 1980s. It's probably a little bit before, almost before your time there, Hector. You're a
Yeah,
young,
totally.
young,
10
young.
years, 10 years before my time.
Yeah, you're a young buck there. But Edmonton was a team that they just outscored you all the time when they were winning some Stanley Cups. So there's no doubt Florida might be capable of doing that this year. So we will see.
All right.
Okay, well, I will get to my first round of the Eastern playoffs, and I'm going to look at Boston and Carolina. We just talked about Calgary with some revenge. Well, here's a Carolina club with some huge revenge. 2 years ago as well, they lost 4-1 to Boston. So Carolina has a home ice advantage, and we actually believe that'll be the difference here. Carolina, actually, they won all 3 games this year, and they won them all easy, which is kind of shocking. But they beat Boston 3-0 at home, and then they went into Boston and won 7-1 and 6-0. Now, Boston was injured. They had lots of guys injured. That one of those games, they might have been missing their whole top line. So, and now it's a playoff. So a lot of that stuff you can look at, which I am looking at, because I think Carolina just has that advantage over Boston. I am shocked at the line. I made Carolina at least 140, 150 here, and it came out 115. So I think a lot of people are looking how Carolina came down the stretch, although they did win their last 6 games. And they didn't play that well at the beginning of April, but they played well, and they're not showing much. It's the playoffs. I really like Carolina. I actually have a play at the beginning of the year. I think it was 10-1 that I put out to my clients for Carolina to win the East. So I'll be on Carolina here, and I'll probably be on Carolina in this series as well. Offensively, we think Carolina is the better team. Defensively, obviously, it looks like Boston is the better club. But Carolina, even though they've played some terrible defense, I think you're going to see a different club in the playoffs, especially at home. As far as special teams go, Hector, the power play, Carolina's 13th, Boston 15th. And here's where they could have a huge advantage in the playoffs, because goals come at a premium when you have these tight teams, tight checking teams, tight games. The penalty kill, Carolina's number 1 in the NHL. Boston's number 9. So with the odds, with Carolina getting the odds in that, really like Carolina. And as I said, I know that's over the course of the season, so it gives you a little idea. And I know some teams are better in the last couple of months, but with those special teams, you can usually get a pretty good grasp on how things are going to go when these guys are actually playing when the games count, which they do now. Cassidy and Brendan Moore, the 2 coaches, I think are probably the 2 best coaches around, so there's going to be no edge there. That's for sure. This series could easily go 7, but at the end of here is the problem where I'm going to sit and wait about Carolina, Hector, is that the goaltending. Anderson's hurt, Rant is hurt, so we'll have to see. We'll have to get the information on that before we go and play this moving forward. So everybody that's watching this, go out, just check to see the status on these guys. I think Anderson's going to be all right. They keep these things really, closely knit, so they're not going to say too much. But as long as Carolina gets Anderson back and he's healthy, and I think they have the home ice advantage, and I think their special teams will end up winning this series for them. And you're getting a great price here. If you ask me, it's a great price. So just check on those goaltenders.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's one of the greatest prices in this whole week, for certain. You know what? It's funny what happens with me, but with Boston, it's one of those teams that I know they're a great team. They're amazing, but I just cannot catch a freaking break with that team. I mean, every single time that I take the bus, even I mean, in favor of Boston or against Boston, I end up losing my bets. I don't know why. I don't know why,
You
but
know,
it's like a
Hector,
curse with me.
that happens. I've been doing this a long time,
Yeah,
and that there's certain and it happens in every sport. Whether like I know we do some NFL videos, and I know you're a big NFL guy. But
yeah,
there's teams, right? There's a certain team. I'm sure you have your team in NFL that it
sure.
doesn't matter whether you bet them with the spread, whether you bet them money line, you lose. In hockey, same way. There's certain
Yeah,
teams that they're just like you just can't. Doesn't matter what you do, right?
yeah.
So
I,
I understand that totally. I have a couple myself. So and sometimes what you do as a gambler, even though your how you look at a game might be like for yourself, you'll be saying, "Oh, I love Boston." But because of you get, as I like to say, you get gun shy a bit,
yeah,
right? Because it doesn't matter what you do with Boston, you bet them, you lose.
yeah.
You
I'm
bet
gonna
against
lose.
them, you lose, right?
Yeah, I
So,
know.
I understand that totally, Hector.
Okay, so good luck on that series, Don. But I'm sure
Thanks.
for sure not betting on that one. Okay, let's go to another one that's gonna be also pretty competitive. Which is pretty close. Which is gonna be New York Rangers versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. Penguins ended up going 46-25-11, and Rangers 52-24-6. Now Rangers offense, it's not very amazing. They ended up being 16, scoring 3 goals and only 28 on shots on goal, which is alarming, with 29 shots on goal per game. Now, but their defense, that one is pretty amazing. They ended up being the second best defense on the whole league, only allowing 2.5 goals per game. I absolutely love Igor Shesterkin on the net, and I think it's going to be a huge problem for Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, Penguins, they have a pretty solid offense, scoring 3.2 goals per game, ended up being 11, and defense, number five, allowing only 2.7 goals. So also a pretty good defense. I mean, these teams, even in power play and penalty kill, are very close. You have the Rangers power play ending number 4, and the Penguins ending up on number 3. So um, I like both of these teams, but I don't like what we saw on the last weeks from the Pittsburgh Penguins since March 15 to the last game that I think it was Wednesday or Thursday. They went into a skid of 9-10 and 2 straight. So that's alarming for me. That's problematic, and I've seen this New York defense very amazing since the first game, but an improvement in their offense. I don't think they were very amazing at offense at the beginning of the season, but I've seen them improve along the season. So I'm going with Rangers. This one is pretty close also in the payout. You have the Rangers at minus 105 versus the Penguins minus 115. I'm taking the Rangers on this one, just straight up, money line.
I'm with you, Hector, on that with the Rangers. Yeah, I like them too. You made some great points there, especially about how the way Pittsburgh's kind of limped in here. I know everybody with Sidney Crosby, they all like to bet the Penguins, but you mentioned one thing, Shesterkin, and
Yeah,
he could win this series by himself. And the Rangers have home ice, which in these, home ice a lot of times when in the regular season it doesn't seem to be as important. But I'm telling you, in the playoffs, home ice becomes very important because
totally.
the fans, you saw it in Carolina. I'm actually looking forward to in Carolina. That place is crazy when Carolina's been in the playoffs, and there's a lot of places like that. I like the New York, and as you said, it's a really good price. They're the home team. They got Shesterkin. Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Hector. So,
Great.
well, we got one more series to break down here, and it's going to be one of my favorite ones. And people that have watched me on Puck Time know that I'm being a big Montreal fan, as I have my Montreal Stanley Cup shirt on and my Montreal hat. Even though we had a rough year, it's the Tampa Bay Toronto series, and I'm just shocked and about the price here. Toronto now, I had a buddy of mine send me a little text here just probably about 10 minutes before we went on, Hector, telling me that Toronto's now even minus 1-4, like Tampa Bay's plus 120. Getting money. Tampa Bay's getting money against a Toronto club who, yeah, they look great offensively, but at the end of the day, Toronto is what Toronto is, and Tampa Bay are the defending two-time Stanley Cup champions. They played 4 times this year. They split 2-2 with Toronto winning in overtime. And the last game, well, you could say whatever, but Tampa Bay crushes them 8-1. Not saying that Tampa Bay will be doing that kind of stuff in this series, but I'm just shocked that I know Leafs have the home ice advantage, but to us, there's so many things that Tampa Bay, well, for starters, experience. They're the champs. They're just, experience-wise, As far as the offense goes, yes, Toronto has a great offense, but Tampa Bay has a great offense as well. So, it's a little bit of a wash to me. You could maybe even give Toronto the advantage. Okay, let's just say we'll give Toronto the advantage with offense. But as we all know, offense doesn't win NHL playoff games.
Yeah.
Offense does not win Stanley Cups. It's defense and team play. Where Tampa Bay is a team, and once Toronto gets down in this series, they will fall apart like they have all the time. Now, defensively and goaltending, that goes to Tampa Bay. And it could go huge with Vasilevsky in net. Him and Shesterkin, these are 2 goaltenders that can win series. So that's why I talked about that a little earlier with New York. Now Vasilevsky, this guy, even though he hasn't played like it this year, it's playoff time. He's the best goaltender in the NHL. And not too many people would argue that. But I know he's had not the best of seasons. But again, things change when it comes to the playoffs. Let's go to the special teams. Toronto, yes, they are the best power play in the NHL. But Tampa Bay is not that bad. They're 8th. Penalty kill, Toronto, 8th. Tampa Bay, 11th. So even though Toronto does hold the edge in special teams here, it's very slight. But for us, what is most important is the coaching. And John Cooper will have his way all day long with Sheldon Keefe. All day long. Once they settle in for the first couple of games, that'll be it. Cooper will just out-coach this guy all day long. So I know all my Leaf buddies, and there's a ton of Leaf fans, and that's why they're minus 140. Or like I say, I saw 120 this morning, but like I say, I got a bunch of texts. Buster, you won't believe this. The Leafs are getting bet. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't believe it. So, anyways, for me, this Toronto and Tampa Bay is definitely my favorite series. You're getting plus money to bet the 2-time Stanley Cup champions who just excel at this playoff hockey. So that's it for me. And actually, Hector, we were going to talk about what we were going to give our favorite play. Well, I'll start with this, Hector. So our favorite play of all the series is Tampa Bay getting a little plus money or even. And for everybody that ends up watching this video, I'm not sure how many people that are clients of mine or have bought packages from me at Sports Memo. On Monday, we have $9 Monday at Sports Memo. Tomorrow, once all the lines are all set and they're in their back end at Sports Memo, this will be my $9 5% series play that you'll be able to get on Monday at Sports Memo, but I'm giving it to you for free here. So if you watch this, don't get it on Monday. So that's my play, Hector, and you can let me now. You can tell us what your favorite play.
And I couldn't agree more with you, Don. I mean, I think there's not a scenario that I could possibly imagine in these playoffs, or at least in this first round series, where I could skip the opportunity of getting Tampa Bay Lightning at plus money. It's amazing. I mean, they could have been playing against Florida or Colorado, and if I saw in those scenarios Tampa Bay at plus money, I mean, I have to take them. I like that one, and it's going to be very interesting on Monday how the payout is, because maybe on Monday we're going to see them as minus 110. I don't know. I mean,
I agree, Hector. I think you have to, I think it's all the Toronto money. Probably, if you're a Toronto fan and you fully believe, because Toronto fans fully believe that they're winning the Stanley Cup this year. So you see minus 120, you're okay. I better bet that now, right? It's just, that's the way it is. So somebody's, I don't think it definitely can't be the Vegas big, and these guys that play big money on this.
Yeah.
I'm trying. Sorry, I've lost my word. When you're old,
No,
Hector,
don't
what
worry.
happens? You lose a little for words. I was
All
going to
right.
say all the Vegas syndicates that bet big money. I can't see them being the ones that are putting the money on
No,
Toronto here.
no,
No
that's
way.
public money. That's public
So
money.
it's all public money. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping I will be playing them once they come up on my offshore sites, and that will be our big play for the NHL series.
Great. Okay. My biggest play for this NHL series is gonna be Colorado Avalanche, but at minus 1.5 games. Because minus 450, it's gonna be it's a lot. It's a lot of money. So let's take the minus 1.5. I know Nashville is a good team. I know they have they beat Avalanche before, but I think it's gonna be too much. It's gonna be too much for them. They're not gonna have the talent enough and the energy enough to keep up with the pace of Colorado. So it's Colorado minus 1.5. All right. So I think that's it, Don. Thank you. Thank you very much for having you here. I mean, it's a great honor. I personally learned a lot from you since I began betting NHL a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And Hector, I just want to say thanks for doing this. And you know what? For somebody that this isn't your first language, you did a fantastic job. I know you speak English, but that's for somebody to come on, do a show like this, and be as professional as you have been. That you did a great job, and hopefully this will help some of the guys that are looking to bet these NHL playoff series. And I think we've gave them something to think about, anyways. So again, thanks for having me, and thanks for doing this. And again, great job, Hector.
Thank you, Don. Thank you very much. That means a lot. Don't forget, everybody, go follow Don Buster at Twitter. That's Don_Buster on Twitter, and of course at Sports Memo on Twitter and sportsmemo.com. And don't forget, don't buy his play from $9 Monday because it's the one that he already gave in this show. But go ahead and buy his next picks, because Don, it's one of the most amazing NHL handicappers out there. So, okay, thank you very much, Don. Amigos, muchas gracias por habernos escuchado y espero que hayan disfrutado el show. Lamentablemente, como les digo, no vamos a poder poner los subtítulos en esta ocasión, pero muchísimas gracias. Espero que les haya gustado este show. Don, thanks again, man.
Gracias, amigo.